Hello, everybody. This is Skip Alzheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime streaming show, where we watch old 16 millimeter films. And so I am not in the archive today. I had a procedure done yesterday that kind of took me by surprise, and why I ran late yesterday. But yeah, it's made me incredibly sore and made it very difficult to sleep. Yeah, I'm just going to take a break. But I still got to show you some films. And because this procedure was done, is the reason this procedure was done is because of some scar tissue from a bike accident that I had when I was 12. And so I figured I should show you some bike safety films. Some of these I've shown before, and there's a couple of new ones in here. But yeah, I love my bike, but it is costing me some quality of life issues now. So hopefully this will be something that will be dealt with soon. But anyways, yeah, I'm speaking so not being very obvious about what's happening, because really you don't want to know. But anyways, here's some bike safety films. Hopefully I'll get my get some good sleep today, and then I'll be in tomorrow. Everybody take care. And again, I appreciate all the well wishing. We'll see you soon. Bye.
I've been asked to introduce this film because I really am an advisor to a junior high bike club, and I really do teach traffic safety education full-time. So I see the safety education problem from both viewpoints. Bicycles and autos can safely share the same roads, but the drivers of each must know and follow the same rules of the road, accept the same driving responsibility, and respect each other's rights. That's what this film is all about. Most of the film is self-explanatory. Where it isn't, I'll explain as we go along. Notice the stop signs.
May I see your operator's license today, sir?
License? Since when do I have to have a license to drive a bicycle?
Well, it's not required that you have an operator's license, but I do need some form of identification.
What did I do?
Mr. Jones, were you aware of the stop sign back at 15th Northeast and 135th?
I saw the stop sign, but that's for motor vehicles, not bicycles.
Well, it's also for bicycles. Bicycles are construed as being vehicular traffic, and you have to comply with the laws whether you ride a bicycle or drive a vehicle.
You mean you're putting a moving violation on my driving record?
No, I'm not going to issue you a moving violation, but had you caused the vehicle to swerve or stop, I would issue you a moving violation, but I'm going to give you a verbal warning and write a warning citation. Mr. Jones, I'd like to remind you to possibly review your driving habits. Again, bicycles are vehicular traffic, and you must comply with the rules of the road, just as other vehicles do. Thank you.
A lot of bikes.
My goodness, I didn't realize we'd have quite the selection.
This boy's 14 years old today. He's too grown up for toy bikes,
Really?
too young for a driver's license. For his birthday, he gets to pick a 10-speed.
Which ones are very good. I don't know how they are.
As it stands, this is a daylight machine.
Is it legal to sell a bike without lights and reflectors?
Most of our customers will be running this thing strictly in the daytime. For those who want to ride at night, we have a wide selection of
Jim, can you guarantee me you're not going to ride this bike at night?
Yeah, except for basketball practice. I might get caught coming home in the dark because it gets dark so early.
She knows about bicycles at night. They can be invisible 30 feet from a car. Pedal flashers help. A big reflector helps more. This 3-incher far outshines the taillight. more help, a white jacket and a leg light. Better yet, reflective cloth strips. Common sense says the more the better.
Well, then I don't want you to bring it home until you have lights on it.
Okay. Can I help you here?
Oh,
I'm interested in a bike for some touring and from going around to town and school, stuff like that. It's for my birthday.
Okay, follow me over here.
A bike should fit. Standing flat-footed astride, this bike's too small. This too big, dangerously so. This just right, an inch of clearance. Gear shifts. In a crash, these could spear you. Here, they're okay. Here, safe enough, but exposed to breakage. A bike that will carry things gets more use. Rear-mounted carriers don't upset the steering and balance.
How's this set?
Yeah, those will do. Yeah, nice and light.
Yeah, they are.
Okay. I also like gear shifts move down here.
Okay.
And then a 3-inch rear reflector, and then a rear carrier also.
Okay.
That
Should be able to have it for you tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, thanks a lot.
When the shop's finished with Jim's new bike, it's prepared for the kind of use its driver has in mind. But who's prepared its driver? Where would a common sense bicyclist go for this knowledge? Where motorists go, of course.
Hello, may I
Hi.
help you today?
yes, I'd like to apply for a learner's permit.
Fine. Have you studied our driving manual?
Yes, I have.
Fine. That'd be a $2 fee then, and some indemnification.
No state lets people drive cars without preparation.
There's the money.
That's fine. The smallest line of letters that you can read clearly.
They have to meet minimum physical requirements.
ELD.
They take driver's knowledge tests with electronic scoring. Having passed,
This is your instruction permit. I'd like to point out that it is valid for 6 months. Also, that you must be accompanied by a licensed Washington driver with a minimum of 5 years' experience while operating a vehicle.
Yes, sir. May I help you? Yes. Do you have a booklet that has rules of the road in it? Yeah, driver's guide, sir.
a bicycle driver learns it himself or goes without.
There you are, sir. Thank you very much.
Probably because he risked no life but his own.
Now at this next street, turn right.
But examiners make sure that motorists qualify before the state issues licenses to drive alone in traffic. The young bicyclist must rely on his own common sense as to whether or not to ride in rush. That's part one of his left turn. Part two, he makes as a pedestrian. This way, he avoids stopping in the middle of a busy intersection. Once across, he takes to the street and proceeds. Planning a left turn at rush hour, he takes to the sidewalk, riding if it's legal, pushing if it's not. The idea is to cross two sides of the intersection as a pedestrian. He avoids riding through on the right because a lot of cars are making right turns. He completes his left turn without ever getting out in the middle of dense traffic. We call this defensive driving. When riding in a car, he begins to see driving behavior with new eyes.
Hey, I got a new game.
Oh yeah, what is that?
It's called What's He Pretending? See the guy in the green car up there?
Yeah.
What's he pretending?
Oh, maybe that he's a race car driver.
No, he's a knight on a green horse. He's bugging the peasants.
Watch out there, there's some small children over there.
Couple drum majors leading a parade.
It's not legal what they're doing, is it?
No, that's not legal. They can't block traffic. They can ride single file, but not two abreast like that. Look at that biker. Wonder what he's pretending to be. He's passing on the right there.
He thinks he's a ghost. The road's big enough for him and the car, too.
Now he's pretending his own stupidity is the other guy's fault.
For crying out loud, what you trying to do? Kill me?
Look out!
I see him, but I just don't believe him.
They're just pretending.
Pretending they're what?
Mosquitoes looking for a windshield.
Jim's learning. The question is he learning the things that will help him survive? Let's see.
Hey, Dean, did you ever wonder how far the average driver can go without making a mistake?
Oh, about 10 blocks, maybe 20 if he's real good. 4 or 5 if he's below average.
Jim has the green light. Why the slow signal?
Say, that kid's quite a defensive driver.
Here's why. A right turn on red, right in front of him.
Hey, let's go get that guy.
Please go down to the next intersection and turn right and stop.
I'm just fed up with these crazy kids and their bikes anyway.
Sir, you better be thankful that kid's a first-class defensive driver. Otherwise, he'd be on his way to the hospital, and you'd have more to be concerned about than this traffic citation.
Well, since when does a bike have the right-of-way anyway?
According to the traffic code, bicycle riders have the same rights and responsibilities as a motor vehicle operator.
105th. And it's LA 55537.
Okay, James, if we need you, we'll call you.
Okay.
By the way, how'd you know he was going to pull that stunt?
Well, I was watching him, and when I saw him about to turn, I pulled in. That's about it.
Well, take it from a guy who's seen it all. You're some kind of a driver.
Okay, thanks a lot. Goodbye.
See you later.
So, he's some kind of driver. Sure, when he's by himself. But in unguarded moments, he can forget it all. Just like, well, he said it himself. Mosquitoes looking for a windshield.
See something we didn't? Come on, Jim. Let's hurry up. We'll never get to the park. Come on, let's go. Come on, James. Move!
In the middle of an arterial? Think it over, Jim. Are you going to use them for an alibi? Stay a kid? Playing in the street? Whether on a bike or in a car, to become a first-class driver, you either drive alone or you seek out company with the same interest. Okay, hey, here's Jim. Looks like he's got a new bike.
Here, buddy.
Hi, Jim.
How's it going?
Hey,
This is Shattuck.
got your new bike, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, that really looks nice.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. This is Shattuck. Is it too late to join the club?
Well, it's too late for the trip that we have scheduled here. Look, you've got to know the rules of the road, and we also have to have your parents' consent. I'm really sorry, but hey, look, how about next week? We've got a 25-mile trip planned, and why don't you see me Monday, and I'll bet you we can come up with something, okay?
Okay.
All righty.
Thanks a lot.
Hey, take care of that new bike.
Okay. Have fun.
It's one thing to study for yourself. It's another when you know you'll be tested, and you'll be riding with people who really know the book. hold it down. Look at, hey guys, it's getting time to go. Jim, our new member's going to recite, what are the rules of the road?
To promote safe and orderly flow of our traffic on our roads.
Why should you follow the rules of the road?
Because if I don't, I can't expect anybody else to.
Oh, you mean we always follow the rules of the road? We try, but it isn't easy.
That's my kid brother, Jimmy, and he's hurt. Told me that Jimmy'd come barreling down the side street with hands on the handlebars. He hadn't stopped for the blue stop sign, and when he saw the car coming on the main road, it was too late. It was just like Jimmy. I remember once I'd reminded him always to obey traffic signals and signs, and Jimmy'd said, "Oh, traffic signs, they're for cars." Why did Jimmy always have to stunt and show off? Why didn't he follow the rules? Something was wrong. Well, I was his big brother. I wanted to try to find out. Perhaps I could help him. First I went to the police station. I knew that their traffic department had a bicycle safety program, and I wanted to get a few facts about bike accidents. One of the officers told me that their reports had shown 1 out of every 4 bike accidents involves a bicycle that is mechanically defective. 1 out of every 3 bicycle accidents involve an automobile. But 2 out of every 3 bike riders injured or killed in a collision have violated a traffic law or safety rule. Mechanically defective bicycles cause accidents. What about Jimmy's bike? Did he keep it in good shape? I went to talk to Mr. Burt, the owner of the bicycle shop in our neighborhood, and he told me that Jimmy knew perfectly well that it is important to keep a bike in tip-top shape. He knew that a mechanically perfect bike must have properly adjusted brakes, handlebars set tightly in the frame, a horn or bell that can be heard at least 100 feet, a saddle that is adjusted correctly and tightened firmly, a clean, well-oiled chain with the right tension, just enough to keep it from jumping off the sprockets, tires that are not worn beyond safety and are kept inflated with the correct air pressure, and pedals that do not have worn and slippery treads. But Jimmy was more interested in flashy ornaments that might impress his friends. He had no time to bother with a thing like a loose spoke. To him, a showy ornament was more important. Ornaments are fine and can be fun, but they belong on a sound bike. A well-kept bicycle is a safe bicycle. Some of Jimmy's schoolmates told me how Jimmy once almost got hurt because of his clowning and showing off on his bicycle. Jimmy had made the kids laugh all right, with his stunt riding and clowning. He wanted to draw attention to himself, and he foolishly thought this childish showing off was the way to do it. He didn't realize that his friends were laughing at him, not with him. I went to talk to Mr. Brown, who taught Jimmy's class the bicycle safety program. He told me that Jimmy was a good bike rider, one of the best in his class. But he also said that Jimmy had the silly and dangerous notion that a good bike rider can take chances, and he would violate the most important safety rules. Just to impress his schoolmates, he would take his life in his hands. I remembered something Mike had told me about the little tricks Jimmy would use to keep out of trouble when he was caught doing something wrong on his bike. Once when he was stopped by a police officer, he acted extra polite and sorry and said, "Yes, sir," all the time, while the police officer told him that it is against the law to ride two on a bike, and that a bicycle rider must ride on the right side of the street, just like a car. Little Mike from down the street hero-worshipped Jimmy. He thought Jimmy could ride a bike faster and better than anyone. It must have been important for Jimmy to be admired, even by little Mike, but it was a serious mistake to try to win this admiration by reckless and illegal bike riding. Every Saturday afternoon, Jimmy used to deliver papers for a neighborhood newspaper, and I went to see the route man. He told me that Jimmy was a good and dependable worker, but that a couple of people on his route had complained about his reckless bike riding. Only recently he'd warned Jimmy that he couldn't work for the paper if he didn't ride his bike safely and correctly on his route. It seemed that Jimmy had been riding on the sidewalk instead of on the street, despite repeated warnings, and almost had run into a lady with a small baby. The route man had given Jimmy a good talking to. He told him that serious accidents can happen that way, both to Jimmy himself and to others. But the route man said that he felt that Jimmy had that foolish and dangerous "it won't happen to me" attitude. From Jimmy's teacher I learned that Jimmy was a bright and willing student, but she also told me that Jimmy recently had a little disappointment. Jimmy's class was forming its basketball team, and Mr. Wade put on a game to select the players. Jimmy had his heart set on getting on the team, and he was bitterly disappointed when he was not chosen. That afternoon, Jimmy had outdone himself with his foolish showing off on his bike, as if he were trying to make up in this manner for his earlier disappointment and win the admiration of his friends in another way, through reckless stunning. But although his classmates watched him and laughed at him when he showed off, they knew he was being foolish and childish. And it was that same afternoon I thought I knew some of the reasons why Jimmy went wrong with his bike riding. He thought it was all right for a good bike rider to take chances, but the truth is that a good bicycle rider who does take chances isn't a good rider at all. He wanted to be admired and looked up to by his friends, but he went about it in the wrong way, by trying to win the hero worship of the smaller kids and the admiration of his own classmates by clowning and reckless stunning. And he was more interested in impressing his friends that way than in keeping his bike in safe repair. With his childish showing off endangering both himself and others, he was trying to make up for his little disappointments and failures, and to win the respect of his friends, not realizing that by his foolish behavior he was really accomplishing the exact opposite. I had a long talk with my brother. After I told Jimmy what his teachers and friends had said, he realized how dumb he had been. I could tell from the grin on his face that he had learned his lesson, and his clowning days were over.
What can compare with the thrill of a brand new bike? Those long days of wishing and waiting are finally over, and the proud new owner can look forward to enjoying his bike in many ways. For bicycling is a healthy, active sport, enjoyed by almost everyone. Not only does it provide vigorous outdoor exercise, but it means quick, easy transportation to and from school. It's a nice, fast way of getting from one place to another. And it may even be a means of earning money. You're taking a lot of responsibility in owning and riding a bicycle, for you are now an operator of a wheeled vehicle. You are the automobile driver of tomorrow, and good, safe bicycle riders often turn out to be the best drivers. No good pilot would think of flying an airplane that was not in perfect condition. He knows that his very life depends upon his plane, so he inspects it carefully before flying. So you should check your vehicle, your bike, to see that everything is in good condition. If you don't know how to check your bike, get a bike mechanic to help you. Check to see that the handlebars, grips, and pedals are tight. Adjust the seat so that your knee is slightly bent when the pedal is all the way down. Be sure that the chain and sprocket are well guarded. No check is complete unless spokes are tight. Every bicycle should have a bell or horn for use as a warning signal. If your bicycle is to be ridden at night, it should have a headlight which is visible for at least 500 feet. And it should have a tail light, or at least an approved reflector. And finally, your bike must have good brakes. Your life may depend on it several times a day. But keeping your bike in top condition is only the beginning. Cars, trucks, buses, and bicycles all are vehicles. All must obey the traffic laws. Keep to the right side of the road or street. That side is for slowly moving vehicles. When riding in a group, ride in single file at the extreme right of the roadway. Be sure to keep a safe distance behind the bike ahead of you. Before riding out of alleys or driveways, stop to be sure the way is clear. When crossing heavily traveled streets or highways, it's better to dismount and walk across with your bike. This precaution gives you a much better chance of avoiding the passing cars. Turning left at a busy intersection is a problem for the bicyclist. The best way is to ride across the intersection and stop at the far right corner. Then, as soon as the light changes, turn and ride off in the new direction. Every bicyclist should know the proper hand signals and should use them when turning or stopping. Be sure you know what the correct signals are in your community and use them at all times. Before turning left, be sure to look behind you. This will keep you from turning into the side of a passing automobile. Signal before you begin to turn, then make the turn with both hands on the handlebars. Even stops require signals while you're on the street. Carry parcels or books in a basket or luggage carrier. You need both hands free for proper operation of your bike. Never carry anything which obstructs your view of the road. Your bicycle was made to carry one person. To carry more is not only bad for the bike, it's downright dangerous. Never, never hitch a ride. The slightest bump in the pavement could easily throw this boy into the path of an automobile. This is illegal in most communities, and for good reasons. If you want to do tricks like these, stay out of the street. Stunting and racing should be done in vacant lots or protected areas, away from pedestrians and traffic. Too much speed makes your bike harder to control and is especially dangerous when riding down a steep hill. When riding at night, be sure to wear light-colored clothing so motorists can see you more easily. Park your bike in a safe, proper place, standing upright. This is better for your bicycle, and it keeps people from stumbling over it in the dark. A lock on your bicycle is good protection against thieves. There's more to safe bicycle riding than just remembering the rules. You must be alert. This young man is not thinking about what he's doing. He's in danger because he's unconscious of what's going on around him. Learn to be an alert bicycle rider. You'll find that it helps you to avoid accidents. The bicyclist who weaves all over the road in front of motorists is asking for trouble. He confuses the motorist, and he acts as though he might be somewhat confused himself. If you remember the rules for safe bicycling, you'll know what these riders are doing wrong. What's wrong with the way this cyclist signals for a left turn? Do you think the parents of this boy would be proud of the way he's learned to ride his new bike? Will this girl's mother be happy when she sees her coming home with the groceries, if she gets there? Why is this young man likely to spend some time in the hospital soon? This is Johnny's dad coming home with the groceries. Johnny's been trying to get his allowance raised. Poor Johnny, if he'd only remembered to put that bike away. As a bicycle owner and rider, you have a responsibility to care for your bike properly and operate it safely. It's your duty to obey the traffic rules, to be alert and quick-witted, to look out for the other fellow as well as for yourself. As a good, safe bicyclist, you'll be respected by the people of your community. for you are proving to your friends and neighbors that bicycling can be both fun and safe.
An inactivity is dead. Consequently,
Mr. John Doucette has had 20 years' experience in the physical fitness field. He was at one time a physical training officer with the Royal Canadian Air Force. Recently, he has been associated with the Exercycle Corporation.
concerning exercise. So with this progress, along comes a modern unit like Exercycle where you push the button. I will not illustrate any further unless my compere, Mr. Brenner, has a few words to mention on that subject.
Well, Exercycle is the only means to give daily exercise, which means to move all the 450 muscles in your body every day without effort for any adult around 30 and above 30, without limit to 70 and 80.
Now, Exercycle has different sport motions like horseback riding, rowing, swim, which I will illustrate. Here we have them here. You don't push, you don't shove, you don't strain. First position, second position, and the third, which is my favorite, incidentally, to keep the waistline down. After you have proceeded for a couple of days and you have built up, you sort of played with it for a couple of days, you are ready to engage your fast speed. And this is the speed that I'd like to talk about Exercycle. Because as I go along, you will notice that I can continue talking to you without getting what we call out of breath, so to speak. It has been proven in laboratory tests that a half an hour at this particular speed is equivalent to cycling 10 miles and rowing about 2 1/4 miles. Not exertion-wise, but circulation-wise and metabolism-wise. These tests have been proven.
Any adult past 26 who would like to do that amount of exercise would be unable to continue after 5 or 10 minutes. But with the motor, you're able to do half an hour of it, and that's the only way to get a big amount of exercise, the only kind of exercise that counts, and the exercise that counts is the exercise that burns the extra calories and the extra fats.
I think what I have done now would probably be equivalent to maybe running 5 blocks. We had fast speed. Could I talk to you as I do now by running 5 blocks at fast speed? By continuous movement, you open up microscopic vessels to eliminate stagnation, toxin, broken down cells, carbon dioxide in the system, carbon monoxide in the system, and the food that you eat, instead of just passing through the body and turning into spurious flesh or just passing through the body, is by increasing circulation, it's being properly assimilated and properly flowed into the course of circulation, where you open up microscopic vessels to nourish your nervous system, your glandular system, your organic system, your secretive system, your endocrine system, your reproductive system, or what have you. I think a doctor is the only person that can advocate a diet to any one individual. We know we are what we eat, and certain foods are better for us than other foods. Certain foods are devitalizing, certain foods... First of all, the body needs carbohydrates, mineral, protein, vitamins, fats, and water. And it's not what we ingest, it's what we digest. After the process is the process of assimilation and exercise to open microvocal vessels in order that we can utilize the food that we eat.
But the normal adult with no specific disease or problem does not have to diet if he exercises. Well, he can eat as much as he likes, provided he's activating and stimulating his process of
we don't advocate any fanatic diet. If a person is overweight, we say try to go easy on the carbohydrates, for instance.
Most diets are too strenuous on the heart and the nerves.
Now, well, just to get back on diet, for instance, if a person wants to reduce, how many people go on a very severe diet when their body needs all the elements that I just mentioned? Carbohydrates, fats, minerals, vitamins, and proteins, and water. Now, if you can increase your circulations up to 800%, approximately, just to use a wide scope, a wide phrase, health comes from within, it does not come from without. So I leave it there.
Have you ever... In our town, they test you for an operator's license, like this. To earn his license, Cliff has proved that he knows the skills of controlling his bike and the riding. And he'll prove it again, Saturday. This is Cliff's younger brother, Arthur. Cliff and his father have been teaching Arthur to be a better bike rider. Arthur has learned the rules at school. He walks his bike where there are lots of people. Arthur never rides in the street because he knows he's not old enough. He knows that it's not safe for young children to ride in the street. Arthur was checking over his bike when Cliff got home from school. Arthur had also read about the bike tests, and he wanted to try them himself. Cliff showed him the booklet from his safety course about the things the testers check to be sure your bike is safe and ready to go. Anyone knows that a bike has to be in good condition to be a safe bike. Another thing they check at the test is the size and adjustment of each bike. How does it fit the rider? Arthur's legs have grown since he got the bike, so the saddle will have to be raised. And when they finish here, Cliff will check over his bike to see that it's in good, safe condition and is adjusted to fit him. Well, it's later now, and they have a safe place to learn balance and control, where there's no traffic. Here's one safety skill. How smoothly do you start your bike? Place one foot on the high pedal, push off with the other foot, and swing yourself into the saddle. Underway smoothly and safely, without wobbling. You can show you're a skillful rider in a number of ways. One, keep your shoulders even. Don't wobble. 2, pedal evenly. Pedal in rhythm, keeping your legs close to the frame. Put the same drive in each leg, so the chain pulls evenly all the time. Watch closely to see this next skill. Use your ankles to give extra push. To do this, you have to keep the ball of each foot on the pedal. You can drive better when you use your ankles. Finally, how do you stop? Can you stop where you want to, easily without skidding or losing control? Starting smoothly, pedaling evenly, there are many ways you can show you're a skilled rider with balance and control. Cliff thinks Arthur also needs to be learning the rules of the road for the time when he becomes old enough and skilled enough to ride in the street. When you're riding in the street, as Lucy and Cliff are doing, you're a part of traffic just like a car or truck. Bike rules may be different from one town to another, but generally they're like automobile driving rules. Keep to the right, moving with traffic, and single file. Look out for cars that might pull out into traffic, or for car doors that might suddenly open. Motorists should not get out this side, but watch out for them in case they do. Try to avoid busy intersections, but when you have to go that way, obey the lights and signals. Walk your bike across heavy traffic. That's the safest, surest way. And if you have a left turn to make, use the green light in each direction. Try never to get in the way of cars. There's another thing to think about beside following bike rules and watching out for others. Avoid dangerous riding, like that fellow. Carrying another rider usually means riding without proper control. It's just not possible to ride double on a bike with safety. If there are two fellows in one bike, then both had better walk. There's dangerous riding, hitching a ride. This can be real serious, to ruin your bike or get yourself hurt or killed. Maybe now he'll decide, never hitch a ride. Have fun on your bike and stay alive. Avoid dangerous riding. Cliff tells Arthur there's another thing you'll want to learn, and that's signaling. Bicycle laws may vary, but these signals show others what you're going to do. Here's a left turn when there's little traffic. Look back to be sure the way is clear. Signal by pointing left. Look again, then make your turn. Another thing, remember to give your signal well in advance, using your left hand. For a right turn, raise your left hand like this. Learn to signal without losing control. Make your turns and your stops with both hands on the grips. Here's a stop signal. Left hand sharply down, facing to the rear. Well, from then on, Arthur was trying his best to ride the safe way. By using signals on the sidewalk, he was practicing for the time when he would be old enough to ride in the street. He walks across corners because he never rides in the road. And he remembers that other people use the sidewalk too. When Arthur signals, he lets them know what he is going to do. People like him better for being courteous on his bike. Well, it finally came, the Bicycle Safety Skills Day at school. And they're all working to test the riders and their bikes. Arthur's watching to see how Cliff does, getting his license renewed. He's on his way through inspection now. They're checking to be sure his bike fits him. Saddle level, handlebars the right height. Now they're checking the mechanical condition of his bike. Tightness, wheels true, and all the things that make for a good, safe bike to ride. Now it's later, and he's almost through with the test on safety rules. Remember those we've seen? Do you keep to the right and in single file? Do you obey traffic signs and signals? Do you watch out for pedestrians and cars, especially at street corners? Do you avoid dangerous practices, such as hitching rides, carrying passengers, stunting? But safe riding means more than knowing the rules and having a bike that fits you and is in good condition. How good are you at control of your bike and balance? These testers really check everything. Yet these things are important for your safety. And each test you take helps you develop your skills to earn the privilege of riding on the street. By the time Cliff has been through all the tests, he has a better idea of how safe he is on a bike. He has shown that he can ride safely with control and skill and courtesy to others. He has earned his new operator's license. He can still keep learning because it won't be too long before he'll be driving a car. And most of the rules and the courtesies are the same as on a bike. And now it's Arthur's turn. He's still not old enough to earn his license and ride on the street. but he's learning the skills and the courtesies of safe bicycle riding.
The Chimp family are getting washed up ready for school. Baby can think of better places than the tub, but Mrs. Chimp believes in a clean start to the day and no nonsense about it. Charlie's the eldest. He thinks he's pretty good. Bit of a show-off, Charlie, but he'll learn. Then there's Chloe, the family beauty. And Chester Chimp. Chester can't understand why he has to wash behind his ears every morning. That's enough to make a fella fed up. Baby knows she hasn't got a chance of dodging the tub, so she decides to be good. And now to breakfast. Charlie is a very dainty eater. Chloe's really going to town, but Chester's manners aren't all they might be. Just as well Mom's not looking. Now for Baby's bottle. Mom shed it to her. Baby's being a bit diff morning. I'm afraid Mom will have to take a firmer hand with her. Hey, Mom! She's going to drink her milk and like it. That's a good girl now. Well, children, time for school. Chester and Chloe believe in an early start, and Mom and the baby go to see them off. Goodbye, Mom. Goodbye. Now I'd better get at those dishes. And here's that smart Alec Charlie. He rides down the garden walk. He's asking for trouble. And he gets it. Boy, what a telling off he's getting. After that, you'd think Charlie'd have more sense, but no. He rides over the sidewalk and across the road. If that young monkey gets to school in one piece, he'll be lucky. Charlie's coming to a pedestrian crossing. He should give the signal and stop for the people, but he doesn't, and poor Mr. Birdwhistle is frightened out of his wits. Look at him going round that corner without any signal. Too bad if there was a car behind him. No signal again when he crosses over to the school. He'll get killed as sure as eggs. Now he's riding across the sidewalk. What next? The only thing Charlie ever shines at is writing. And is he enthusiastic about it? Lessons over for the day. School comes out and Charlie and Chloe start off for home, but Charlie still doesn't seem to have learned any sense. Look at what he's doing, riding double with Chloe on his bike. That's stupid, it's just inviting trouble. And when a car backs out of the garage, he hasn't time to pull up. And crash! They take a nasty tumble. Anyone would think it wasn't Charlie's fault the way he's going on, and the driver says he'll report him to the police. Serves him right. That tumble really hurt Charlie, and poor Chloe got a nasty bump on her head. You big ape. So it's a sorry pair that limp home bruised all over. But at last, Charlie has learned from painful experience that it just doesn't pay to get up to monkey tricks on your bicycle. But Charlie's behavior has landed him well and truly in trouble. The people in the town are fed up with Charlie and his dangerous cycling and arrive at the Chimp home to tell Charlie where he gets off. Charlie hears the fuss and gets an awful fright and runs away and hides. The traffic officer promises to deal with Charlie and see he doesn't misbehave in future. So the people leave and he goes inside to straighten things out. Poor Mrs. Chimp is upset about it all. And the traffic officer tells her not to worry, that he'll have a serious talk with Charlie. He hauls Charlie out and tells him that he's got to stop this dangerous riding and that he must look after his bicycle and himself on the road. He gives him a little book, Safety with Cycles, and tells him to carry out the rules in the book and he won't get into any more hot water. So Charlie studies Safety with Cycles and makes up his mind that in the future he'll carry out all the instructions in the little book. And the next morning, the first thing Charlie does is inspect his bike. Let's see if the tires are all right. They're a bit soft, they could do with a pump. Now they're all right. Now to test those brakes. They seem to be working all right, but he must see if they take hold when he moves the bike. Yes, they're okay. Today he doesn't ride down the garden walk. He wheels his bike right to the edge of the sidewalk and stops, and before he mounts he looks both ways. The road's clear, so he keeps well to the right and rides at a steady pace. Still riding well to the right, Charlie is now coming to some people at a pedestrian crossing. So he gives the stop signal well in advance and pulls up at the crossing and lets the people pass. Now the arm signal before turning the corner. He's playing safe today. He's getting near the school and he wants to cross the road. He looks behind first. Nothing coming, so he gives the arm signal and crosses over the road. Today, Charlie does all the right things. He rides to the edge of the sidewalk and gets off his bike and wheels it across the sidewalk and in the gate. Charlie knows now that he can be safe on the roads if he follows the rules in the little book, Safety with Cycles. After school, there's no riding double. Charlie wheels his bike along the sidewalk and Chloe walks alongside, and they arrive home safely without any bumps or bruises. And that night, Charlie sleeps peacefully because he knows he's been well behaved on the roads, when all of a sudden, a beautiful fairy appears. She tells Charlie she has brought him his reward, and Charlie wonders what it is. Diploma, good cycling for Charlie Chimp. Whoopee!
This story is about 10 rather close relations of ours who seem to get into almost exactly the same kind of trouble we do. All 10 of these jolly characters lived in the same neighborhood and were all good friends, generally speaking. Each of them had a bicycle, and each took care of his bicycle in exactly the way that he took care of himself. One day they held a group think and decided to have a picnic in a little park just 9 blocks away. Now that doesn't sound far, but a lot can happen in 9 blocks, right? Well, sound off out there. I said right? Right. So, they all ran home and made themselves sandwiches. I know that doesn't sound too likely, but of course, they're not quite human. Then they hurried back, all ready to go. Now, one of the 10 was a rather hungry type. His name was Slim Jim McGupney, and his picnic lunch was what you might call a portable banquet, right? Right. Slim knew that his big sack would be hard to handle, so he asked Orville Slump if he'd carry it for him. Orville had a basket on the rear of his bike. He was a good sort, and he answered, okay. Some of the others noticed this and asked him if he'd carry theirs, too. Orville answered graciously, well, I guess so. And naturally, everybody else did the same until Orville's rear basket looked like a chuck wagon. At last, they were ready to go, and at a given signal, they went. Now this is Ruthie Toot Jasperson. He had the newest bike in the bunch, and he was as proud of it as he could be. He made it a point to get in the lead, and there he intended to stay. It would seem that Ruthie Toot was a slam-bang go-getter headed for big things in life, right? Right. But when you have to be first all the time, there are a few things you find you don't have time for. Such things as making hand signals. Oh, he knew very well that bike riders are supposed to signal just like auto drivers. Hand down for slow or stop. Hand up for right turn. Hand straight out for left turn. But pretty soon, he began to feel silly making so many signals to stay out in front. So he skipped one to rest his poor old tired arm. Just one signal, once. At this point, Ruthie Toot Jasperson left the party. This charming little thing was actually christened Tinkerbell McDillingfiddy. She's a sweet and lovely girl, but she has a rather poor memory. Sometimes she forgets to brush her teeth. Sometimes she leaves homework at home. And sometimes she forgets to look at traffic signals. Now she knows that she should. She knows that she should ride just like auto drivers drive. But she's so busy being happy all the time that her little thoughts tend to wander and... Oh, dear, dear, they're wandering again. Here she goes. Exit Tinkerbell McDillingfiddy. She forgot now and then. Now, let me introduce Philip Flugel. He's a star athlete, the president of his class, an honor student, and he has the handsomest profile in school. Just look at it, will you? Now, Flug, as his friends call him, has one little flaw in his character. He is very easily bored. Right now, he's asking himself why everyone has to go up this side of the street. It's so samey. So, proving that even a class president can make mistakes, he decided to ride against traffic. Oh, he knows that auto drivers never do this, and that he should follow the very same traffic rules. But he's in the mood to do something different. Anyway, there are no policemen around to see him. Philip Flugel is no longer bored. You've probably wondered about this fellow on foot. Well, his name is Mosby Pomegranate. He is splendid in dramatics, but he works so hard memorizing his lines that he doesn't get around to a lot of other things. He never made it down to register his bike and get a license for it. He knows very well that a license makes it easy to find out who he is if he's in an accident, and makes the bike easy to trace if it's lost or stolen. That's his trouble. Last week, while he was rehearsing the lead in King Kong, someone rode off with his bike. He went to the police, but of course they couldn't help him since it had no license or registration. He stomped out of the police station angrily, and he's been stomping ever since. Farewell, Mosby Pomegranate, victim of fallen arches. If you look carefully, you'll see Trigby Phipps. He's the smaller one in Eclipse, trying to make that bike go. His passenger is an old friend of ours, Slim Jim McDuffney. Slim Jim's bike recently collapsed from the effects of his diet, and Trigby, being a nice little fellow, agreed to ride him. Now, he knows that no auto driver would drive with a passenger in his lap. He also knows that you can't see ahead very well with someone on the handlebars, and that you can't control the bike well, and that you can't make signals either. Furthermore, it is tiring. Right? Right. So long, fellas. There seems to be a flaw in the buddy system. Meet Nellie Swybach. She's as nice as can be on foot. But when she gets on that bike, sweet Nellie becomes terribly impatient with other people's driving. Although there are only a few left now, she's having trouble sharing the street with them. So Nelbert is about to make a decision she'd never make if she weren't angry. There she goes. There she goes. She knows that riding on the sidewalk isn't allowed in her city and many others, and that even where it is, pedestrians always have the right of way. But Nelbert's upset, and she'd like to know just one good reason why she shouldn't take over the sidewalk all to herself. Nelbert Swybach got her one good reason. Those noises you hear come from the transportation of Filbert Bago. Filbert hates his old bike. He refuses to take care of it because his folks will probably give him a new one for his birthday. He can't see any reason for taking care of a heap of junk, even if he made it that way himself. He will in a moment, though. You see, he doesn't know it, but he'll find out that there's not a shred of a brake left. Now, Filbert would be the first to agree that if it's worth riding, it's worth taking care of. Right? Right. Quickly meet Stanislaw Higginbottom while you can. He's a nice boy, but he won't be with us long. You are now looking straight at Stanislaw Higginbottom. He has neither lights nor reflectors. Stanislaw just wasn't quite bright enough. All of which leaves Orville. He'll get fat, all right. And here's why he ended up with all these groceries that he doesn't really want. This was Rooty Toot Jasperson. Maybe you remember why he didn't make the picnic. He didn't signal, just once. Do you recall Tinkerbell McDillingfiddy? She forgot to watch the signals, just once. And good old Phil Flugel, he rode up the wrong side of the street, once. Mossby Pomegranate was the walking one. He didn't get around to registering his bike and getting a license. It would have taken him only a few minutes. The small one was Trigby Phipps, and his passenger was Slim Jim McGupney. They rode double into trouble. Who can forget Nelbert Swyback? She wanted to know one good reason why the sidewalks didn't belong to her. Then there was Filbert Bagel. He didn't take care of his brakes, so they didn't take care of him. And good old Stanislaw Higginbottom. No lights, no reflector, no Stanislaw. So that's why Orville Slump is picnicking alone today. He watched the signals, he obeyed traffic signs, he made hand signals, he rode alone, he stayed on the right side of the street, got a license, rode just like auto drivers drive, and kept the brakes and all in good condition. And he got fat. Of course, it was very lonely, but not as lonely as this. But then, as anyone can plainly see, he wasn't a monkey, right? Now, that sounds as if you really mean it, right?